If you want to develop your spiritual gifts, these are the 16 stages you must go through first. For many people, including myself, we may not have always believed in spiritual abilities, and it took some sort of experience or an awakening to make us a believer. Either way, stage 1 is where you believe that you have the possibility of working with some sort of psychic or intuitive abilities. Stage 2 is where you have a desire to use your abilities. There's all kinds of people out there that believe they have some sort of spiritual gifts, but for whatever reason, they have no desire to use them. And having worked in this space for a while, there's usually 2 reasons why somebody doesn't have a desire to use their abilities. The first reason is usually they're self-conscious, they're afraid of what others will think. And the second is usually a misunderstanding to the level of difficulty that it takes to work with our spiritual abilities. Let me clear that one up right now because it is absolutely easy once you understand these steps and anyone can do it. Anyway, once you have the desire to use your spiritual abilities, you're going to move into stage 3. Stage 3 is where we research and we try and figure out how to do it. We read books and watch videos trying to uncover any kind of special techniques or understanding of how this is actually possible. Once we've exhausted our resources here in stage 3 and are frustrated with the results, then we move into stage 4. Stage 4 is where you pick the spiritual teacher that resonates the most with you and you go and take their course. Here's where you're going to really deepen your understanding and start to gain a little control over your spiritual abilities. But you're still confused, you have little to no control over your abilities, and things just seem to be happening randomly. You'll eventually land in a place where you're mediocre at best and you feel like something is still missing. Stage 5. This is where you actually start practicing with other people. You start giving your friends and family practice readings and you notice that sometimes you're on and sometimes you're off. And the times that you're on, you're really on. You're on fire. You're nailing everything. And when you're off, you're really off. It's terrible. Nothing resonates. This is the stage where you bounce around from building confidence to bruising your ego. You stay here until you're so frustrated you move into stage 6. This is where you take even more expensive courses, work with more expensive gurus. All the while you keep practicing, but nothing really improves. Then when you go to your mentor and you go to your gurus, what do they tell you? You need to meditate more. What a load of BS, but I see so many people that buy it and get stuck here. And they stay stuck here, thinking that they're doing something wrong or not meditating good enough. For those of you that have the courage to push back on your spiritual teachers and say, no, what you're teaching me does not work, you're going to move into stage 7. Stage 7 is where you throw away everything that you've learned because it hasn't worked for you yet. You no longer practice with your spiritual gifts, you incorporate them into your daily life. This is where you move through your entire day feeling and reading energy. And because you've incorporated this into everything that you do, you start to have some really amazing experiences. This is where you have the shocking realization that this stuff is way easier than anyone has ever led you to believe. That's when you move into stage 8. Stage 8 is where you go back to practice reading your friends and family. And this time you're going to notice because of the simplicity, you've gotten so much better. But there's still a roadblock that you're struggling to get past. Halfway through your readings, you feel like you're just making it up. You stay here until you realize feeling like you're making it up is just part of the process. Then you're going to move into stage 9. Stage 9 is where you get comfortable feeling like you're just making it up and you develop the skills to push forward even though you feel that way. This is where you realize that the feeling of just making it up comes right before that undeniable experience. Now you go into stage 10. Stage 10 is where you've overcome your imposter syndrome. This is where you've built up some confidence from doing some amazing readings. So when you don't do as good, or if you're having an off day, you don't feel as bad. This is where you go into your practice readings feeling comfortable no matter what the outcome is. You feel the same whether you nail it or bomb it. Now you move into stage 11. Stage 11 is where you analyze your experiences and past practice readings. You're looking at what went on when you did so well versus what happened when you didn't do good. This is where you're going to start to notice some subtle things and start to make changes. Things like, oh, I was tired that day. Or there was something else on my mind when I was doing that reading. Whatever it is, you're going to start to bring an awareness to the reasons that you were off. Then you go into stage 12. This is where you not only realize the subtle things that make you off, but you also understand that it feels different when you're off. This is where you really bring an awareness to what it feels like to be connected and in the flow. This is where you learn the difference between your thoughts and imagination versus an authentic connection. Stage 13 is where you're still doing your practice readings, but now you're really using your abilities to make better decisions in your life. This is where you're really going to see your life improve because you feel more connected in everything that you do. Then you're going to go into stage 14. This is where you absolutely 100% know what it feels like to be connected. There is no confusion. This stage is where you master listening to that versus the emotional attachment to the answer that you really want. After you mastered that, now you're going to move to stage 15. Stage 15 is where you're rock solid in your abilities. You're fully tuned in. You're effortlessly communicating with spirits and spirit guides using your intuition and reading psychic energy. And that's going to lead you to the final stage, stage 16. This is where you realize you would have never gotten here if you didn't push through that feeling of just making it up and kept practicing. What stage are you stuck in?